what the year beta flight school versus 8th grade have in common. Now, this is going to be the heaviest video before we transition into the big videos of season 2, which won't be for a couple of months because of the fact that we need to get this message across that what was the year beta about. So 8th grade and beta was when I was introduced to the streets. Sophomore year of flight school was all about street knowledge. All about using street smarts in order to not get trapped in a book smart situation that is manipulated by street smarts. Like, tell the full story so it won't be like, here, hold this. That's what sophomore year flight school was about. But what makes 8th grade year so special is 8th grade year was the first year where I was introduced to real gang activity and real hip hop. That was the very first year when I was introduced to different gangs, and I thought that I was about to, literally die because I was a square. I was a heavy square at the time. I didn't smoke and I didn't do none of that. I started smoking when I was a freshman in high school, but when I was in 8th grade, I'm looking at people like Ben. Robert went to my school at the time, but Robert wasn't there. He was on and off. And literally, there was Tyrone, there were fake gangsters, but there were real gangsters on campus. So literally, it was crazy. And the worst part about it was, this year taught us why it was so heavy back then, but why it can't be heavy in the real world. That's the thing about gangsters, is that they have a limited time to be dominant. And they can only be dominant in specific areas. They can't travel. And they claim that the truth doesn't travel farther than the lie, when that is the biggest lie. The gossip will travel farther, but the actual weight of the situation will not travel. And that was Anti's problem. So let's get on to this segment of why do I need to go into this for really, really good reasons, because you have to recognize that when he roasts somebody, he is educated when he roasts somebody, but that's the problem. When you come at somebody who's already given up on public school and you try to hit him with, nigga, you're stupid, that is when they play dumb. It's like, okay, alright, you win. But they don't say that. They look at him and they act ignorant, and then they move on. I know a lot of people like that. So many people let him win when it comes to those arguments because he backs them in a corner. He hits them in a place where they cannot come back verbally. But then they stay quiet and they let him play himself over time, which is exactly what happened when he left the gang. And literally, they're laughing at him because you are claiming to be book smart. You're calling us out saying that we're ignorant when we're actually sticking together. You think they throw their lives away without anything to fall back on? Which is hella fucking funny. This is how it literally comes down to. He taught me that gang members aren't shit. And I agreed to 100%. But he didn't go into detail of why they aren't shit. And that's the area where he left out. I never wanted to be a part of it. I became above all that shit. Because they're all pussies. I'm not speaking in general. A real gangster literally stays silent, stays out the way, and doesn't even be seen. That is a real gangster. A fake gangster is the one like, nigga, what's up, and this and that. That is a fake gangster. He's advertising the fact that he's in criminal activity. He's like, I don't give a fuck. And that's why they keep you in a loop. He thinks that some other people that he has talked to before have the same mindset as those little kids that advertise their gangster, when we're all like, dude, we fake advertising our gangster. We pretend to be ignorant, but then we leave, and then you wonder why we still have shit to fall back on. Do you think we're in jail the whole time? No, we're hopping from house to house to house. He's the type to literally call Robert out saying that he's a hoodlum, not knowing that he has hella shit to fall back on, that he didn't evaluate the situation before he came. He's like, literally came, he's the type of person to go up to a gangster and be like, that's why he didn't stay in school. And in his mind, it's like, but when you look at him, he looks at him and literally with his lips forward, nose out, looking straight at him like, do you know how ignorant you sound? I can get a whole bunch of people to shoot you in your sleep. You disrespected the fuck out of me. I'm gonna give you a little hint. I'm gonna make sure your little brother understands the power of the pussy and understands why you don't put people on the pedestal because you don't think you need people. You think you're above people. You think you're the fucking shit. And that's why they're so nice to people. Literally. Real gangsters act ignorant on the outside, but do educate shit on their inside, literally, so they don't get confused with somebody else who advertises their shit. They advertise their gangster as a form of a distraction. Like, we're doing some dumb shit up front, but we're doing some big illegal shit behind the scenes. We're just stealing right now, but it's not like we don't have anything planned. Literally, he thought he knew it all. By being kind of street smart in the suburbs, I'm like, this is your fucking problem. No matter how much you think you're gangster, no matter how gangster you think you are, you grew up in the suburbs. Get out. Literally, get out. You don't have the right to tell anyone right from wrong. You're living an oxymoron. The real gangster has told me to stay out the way. A real gangster told me to literally not put pussy on a pedestal. He literally told me this. A gangster told me this. He's like, what is a bitch gonna do for you if she just pleasures you for an hour? You're trying so hard to lose your virginity. Back when I was in high school, he told me, once you lose your virginity, it's just gonna be for an hour. Then your rest of your life is there and you're fucked because you went through a whole bunch of shit and got no reward out of it. You got 1 hour of pleasure and your whole life isn't shit. He literally told me why it ain't shit, why this and that. Literally, so fucking dumb. And here's another example of why you shouldn't advertise your fucking gangster. This guy went to jail on purpose so he can get away from his abusive girlfriend as a distraction. And he's telling me to stay away from bitches. A lot of people try to act hard. I'm like, please do not follow the gangster. Please do not follow those people that think they're hard. Real gangsters tell you to stay out the way. Real gangsters act civilized so they literally don't want to get caught up. That's stupid. That's more work for their other bosses. They have to report in and out to people, and it's literally, you cannot expect them to lay the beans on the table. You cannot expect them to act emotionally. You really think that gangsters care about their reputation? No, they've already discarded that shit. If they cared about what people thought about them, then they would have dropped out of school. They don't give a fuck what society thinks about them. So you hitting them with society principle? You niggas are dumb as fuck. I never want to be a part of you guys. I'm like, haha, they're in a complete process where your shit is incomplete. And that's the shit that made him gay, man. Literally. Being gangster all the way versus thinking that you're smart in public school when everybody else is going all the way in what the fuck they're trying to do. You observing the outside without actually looking on what they have. And that's why he was so fucked when he got in the real world, because he has the mindset that I did now. That I have now. Literally, looking at people, oh, the gangster ain't shit. Oh, all them are dumb as fuck. But literally, little do you know that you're the biggest punk in them all. Because you think you're above people. You think people are stupid. Well, what happens when you need people's approval? Don't act like you don't need a manager's approval to pass the interview. Don't act like you don't need connections to survive in this world. Don't act like you're eventually not gonna want to hit the pussy. You call bitches dumb forever. You call gangsters dumb forever. You call this and that, yet you use their language. And that's what makes the gangster more of a man than a nerd that jumps to conclusions. The gangster is holding back what he can do in order to be saved by God. Some gangsters do deal with God. Oh, no gangster deals with God. Gangsters deal with God more than nerds, bro. I'm sorry. That's 100% factual. Gangsters are way more spiritual. They have way more of a soul because they are not generic. They do not go through a process. They are not made through a factory like people in public school. I'm sorry. That is good to understand, but what you have to realize is you can't fall into that trap. That's why they tell you to stay out the way. And that's why they were so nice to me. They gave me the hint, and they told me to stay out the way, but they told me why I am fiending for that lifestyle. It's because they're trying to take the soul away from me. You can have a soul and still be a good person. There was this one time where I was walking outside the liquor store, and literally, so Robert smoking a black. And literally, there was this one time where Anton tried to stop me from hitting a cigarette after I hit a blunt. And he's like, you try to hit a blunt in front of me? Well, he smokes potes all day. So Robert did this thing where My brother was buying a Swisher, and he's like, "You want to hit this?" Offers me the tobacco. And then there was this other time where I was doing chore for Uncle Jay, and literally, he had me do chore after chore after chore for 20 minutes just to work for $20. And I went to go buy some weed from Rob and Lily. So I went with my brother, and here's what happened. So Rob took hella long. He took more than 20 minutes to get the weed. And literally, so my brother literally said, "Fuck it, this counted as a loss. You can smoke weed to him another day," is what he said in his mind. But in reality, he said, just take it as a loss. Because we waited for a long time, and he jumped to the conclusion, if it's not here by now, it's not ever going to come. So Robert literally schooled my brother, epic for a Saturday, that my family is going to try to get me for being a sleazeball, is what he did through street code. And that's why he took away my material thing that got replaced within the next month. You really think that being a gangster is all that? It's better to be an established white kid, but who wants to be an established white kid? Why can't you disrespect your fellow neighbor? Why you have to do all this stupid shit, criminal activity, to try to prove yourself to people? That's what makes you weak. If you're already proving it, you stay out the way, just like he did. He wasn't flexing. When did Robert ever flex in one of my videos? Where did Rashad ever flex in one of my videos? None of them ever flexed. Real gangsters don't flex. They keep silent. Real gangsters move in silence. I gave you this long ass explanation to let you know if you're advertising saying, "What's up, nigga? You try to see me?" That's a fake gangster. That's one that's controlled by another one that's trying to tell him, "Stop being hyphy. You're making the spot hot. You're advertising our activity, and we're trying to make this a smooth transition." My brother literally wasted my time, wasted all the work I worked hard for when Uncle Jay was shoving that chore down my throat, literally, and that's how you deal with a girl that's trying to counteract your sleazeball. You did all that work, you did all that for literally just to pad the back. Literally, she gave you a peek of the push, but she didn't give you nothing. Was the equivalent of what the fuck that happened. Yeah, I got the $20 validation, I got the receipt, but I didn't get the service that came with the receipt, did I? This nigga Robert literally threw the blunt in front of my face when I didn't drop in the weed. Literally, I look down and he's like, "Don't pick that up." I'm all like, "Okay." And literally, he literally scolded me. He's like, "Eris, that's why people punk you. That's why people be all up in your shit. That's why this and that. You can't let people do that." And I try to make a right person's excuse. "Well, it's not my tree." It's like, that doesn't matter. I literally threw some weed at you and you were scared to pick it up. A gangster is telling me not to be scared of white people that try to pull their so-called mouthpiece over me, literally trying to put me in the situation to trap me. You gotta stand up for yourself. It doesn't matter. Like, what the fuck? You said this and that. Why the fuck you switching up? Literally, the next day after I didn't get that weed, literally, his cousin, all them was like, "Man, we were just waiting down the street," and stuff like that, lying and shit. But they're lying with a smile on their faces, literally letting people know that, yo, it's not like we don't like your company and shit like that. We just don't want you to be a bitch-made nigga. That whole sequence is telling me that my older brother was full of shit. And that he needed to literally tell me to be a brute. Literally, nobody has my back in this world, and I literally need to stand up in order to force my way so people can respect me. And even Geekdom said this shit. Geekdom said, not only do you have to give respect, you have to demand respect. And this ties heavily in the 8th grade year, because 8th grade year was when I was getting punked, I was getting set up, but it was all in the form of street code. I was achieving achievements, and then they would make me look like shit. And that needed to stop. That needed to really stop. The reason why this year and 8th grade are heavily intertwined was heavy because 8th grade year taught me why it's good to have a soul, and I didn't smoke. And literally, this year was the year where I realized why weed is detrimental when you become a grown man. It's cool when you're a teenager and you're laughing with your friends and stuff like that, but when you're in a situation when you have to take your life seriously, weed is going to distract you from all that shit. And how it's heavily intertwined is I couldn't prove them wrong because of their wordplay. Now my actions outdo their wordplay. Back in the day, my actions definitely outdid Justin's wordplay, but I wasn't in the right position. what people try to tell me is because I'm not in Robert's position and because I'm not in that other gang member's position, is that I have a chance to make it. What they're trying to do is they were trying to put me in Robert's position. They were trying to put me in that other guy's position. And that's why he moved. The same year that he stole my PlayStation, he moved. And this is crazy because 8th grade year was when everybody tried to punk me, but I came back every single time. But this year, it's like you guys are punking yourselves because you guys think that I'm gonna be like one of those other people and be scared. I'm like, I'm going to put myself in a better position. There was this one time where this one fool tried to test me. It was a recent thing where this guy tried to shoot me, and literally I put my hand out and I juked to the side before he can pull the trigger. You think you're so fucking cocky? What he did was this. He's like, oh, you were trying to run? And I'm like, follow me. As soon as I dodged the bullet, I told him to follow me. And I literally hear his footsteps come back. And I run into a parking lot. I'm like, you're not trying to shoot me in a parking lot. I forced him into a parking lot. I'm like, you think I'm scared to follow me to a parking lot? I'm going to wait till your bullets run out so I can fuck you up. I literally put my hand out as a target and you still can't get me and you think you have the right to talk shit. Notice that you're only cocky because you have the advantage. I was at a disadvantage. I told you to come follow me. Anti gets this shit fucked up because literally he thinks that it's all this and that, and you guys are failing to realize that you are using toys. A gun is a toy to me. What you really want is bitches. You care more about bitches than you do your own life. You're in the exact position of an anime nerd, except you have more tools to fake it. And another thing that Anti gets really fucked up is that he feels like conquering territory is dumb. Getting to know people is dumb. Getting to do this and that is dumb. Inserting dominance is dumb. He's the type of person to be more friendly, not knowing that it's a kill or be killed world out there. Not all the time, but 9 times out of 10, literally, there are people that will give you street signals that you will not catch up on because you're so used to being professional that you do not know that you're getting yourself into a street smart situation. Like, if the boss asks you to stay a shift when you're about to get another job, oh, it's extra money, he can't harm me. But there are people within that job that can set you up. This is what you call fake street smart. Fake street smart is Justin. I'm going to show you why that doesn't work. So, the day that Lisa sent that shit is the exact same momentum. There was momentum that made me believe that shit. There owned me the year before where I laughed at her and been like, I can replace you at any fucking moment because I was crisis popular and society didn't judge me as nearly as much. So what they did was they had me take a job that I failed at because it was an easy job and I got distracted versus my other job, which was really fast paced that kept me on my toes. And they called me retarded because I got fired. So literally, all that shit was happening. Plus I was unemployed, but it didn't fucking matter because the hardest job that paid the most, where they tried to set me up the most, is when I passed my probation period. So, see, made sure that there was momentum to make me believe that. And I still want Coolio. The only reason why I was forced to partially believe it is because they mislabeled me a child molester. I almost got caught doing the easiest thing. Look, don't touch. You must be retarded, right? Literally. But they set me up. All that shit is front facing. No, a real gangster will have you checkmate at all corners where you don't have the excuse to say you can get another one, where you won't live the day to get another one, where you won't do this and that. Because they literally enable you from doing all that shit. And you know how you do that? You observe and you don't react. So he kept on sending Bayer Mill Provider after Bayer Mill Provider, and they kept on falling for the same trap. I just want to suck in your tits, and that's why I can't get through with someone who actually has a tolerance. They keep on accurate raids. Oh, maybe if I shoot him this way, maybe if I shoot him that way. You guys shoot each other because you guys are uncoordinated. Literally, I can just make a distraction just like I did with my hand. You guys literally will shoot each other. I can run this way and you're literally aiming that way, and the other guy's trying to block me off, trying to trap me in the spot. You can't trap me. All I have to do is run to the side and you're gonna end up shooting your partner. So it's game goofy because you're faking it till you make it. They're doing all this by pussy. For pussy. I literally ran in a circle when people were trying to jump me because I was faster, and they're like, nigga, hold still, nigga, hold still. And they tried to shoot me, and I hit them with hook after hook after hook after hook. I ran inside after I was in the circle, confusing them with my movement so you won't be able to shoot straight. And as soon as they pulled the gun out, I hooked after hook after hook. And the time they tried to shoot me, I was already hooking the other person. I made you dizzy with my own 2 feet. Just like Justin couldn't beat me with a bat, you can't beat me with a gun. You guys don't understand the fact that you have to lose to win. If you guys would have literally restrained me, choked me, you guys could have shot me, but you would have to risk one partner. You guys are trying to keep up a running gag that I ain't shit while I just owned all of you. Your pride is getting in the way of your victory. You have to take it seriously. Oh no, but then I'm imitating Dragon Ball Z. I can't be Piccolo, and it's not like I can make somebody Goku and you're Raditz. I'm fucking up both of you. You better think about something. The street knowledge is how this is heavily intertwined because it has everything to do with words with no action. And when you do put actions, you fail every single time because you don't put in the work to get that strong. Somebody gave you a handout. Every time somebody sends you, it's to play yourself because the higher tiers, like Robert, know to stay out the way. That guy who told me to stay away from bitches has a build that I can't fuck with. If you know anything about fighting, you know that when somebody has a build, you cannot fuck with him because as soon as he lands one hit, when you have to realize you have to take a hit in that fight, you're done. That's why you stay out the way. That guy had his ear torn off, and he still won. Somebody shot him in the ear, and they still didn't get the victory. That's what happens when you fight a man that's solid as steel. This year was specifically to support the fact that the gangster ain't shit. But you know what I learned in 8th grade and what I learned this year? It's better to be ghetto than to be plastic. I know it may not sound this. Arturo is more convincing because it's more, you know, everyone friendly. But just think about this. I made this comparison before. Do you think Peter is more fun than Robert? Now, who would you rather hang out with? Because Robert's intimidating. He has dreads. But who has more fun? Who has more of a soul? You have to come down to that conclusion. It's the one who can dance versus the one who talks shit is the one who's going to win. I can move in places you cannot. That's why you are stiff and I am loose. And that's why your butthole gets loose when you follow the wrong crowd.